In 1900, deep in the Ashanti kingdom of what is now Ghana, a British governor-general made a very simple demand. He asked to sit on a chair. But this wasn't just any chair. This was the golden stool of the Ashanti, a legendary throne said not to be made by human hands, but to have descended from the sky itself. It was carved from sacred wood, covered in pure gold, and believed to contain the very soul of the Ashanti people. The British governor didn't believe in such superstitions. To him, it was just a fancy seat. So, he told the Ashanti chiefs, "Bring me the golden stool. I will sit on it." The chiefs went silent. Because in Ashanti belief, nobody, not even their king, was allowed to sit on the stool. It wasn't just a symbol. It was their spirit, their identity, their survival. To touch it wrongly was to invite disaster. That demand sparked outrage, and led to a war so fierce that it shook the entire British Empire. But here's the eerie twist: even after the war, even after decades of conflict, the stool itself was never truly touched. And those who tried to defile it, something strange always seemed to happen to them. So, was it just myth fueling rebellion? Or does the golden stool truly have a power that punishes those who dare to touch it? Long before the British ever set foot in the Ashanti kingdom, the golden stool was already more than an object, it was a living presence. According to legend, in the late 1600s, the Ashanti people were scattered and divided into many small clans. Their chief priest, Okomfo Anekai, sought to unite them. One day, during a great gathering, he raised his hands to the sky, and from the heavens, a stool covered in gold is said to have descended, glowing with light. The stool landed gently in the lap of the Ashanti king. The people gasped. Okomfo Anekai declared that the stool carried the Sansom, the collective soul and destiny of the entire Ashanti nation. From that day forward, the Ashanti were bound together. Not by blood, not by land, but by this sacred stool. The rules were clear. No one sat on it, not even the king. It rested on its own mat, never on the bare ground. It was never allowed to leave the kingdom. It was both throne and deity, a reminder that the king ruled only with the soul of his people beneath him. For centuries, the stool became the anchor of Ashanti identity. Wars were fought under its blessing. Treaties were sworn before it. And when enemies threatened the kingdom, warriors said the stool burned with a golden light at night, proved the spirits were awake. But then came colonialism. By the late 1800s, the Ashanti had already fought several wars against the British. They had been fierce, but each war chipped away at their independence. By 1896, the British had captured the Ashanti king, Prempeh, and exiled him. And yet, even with their king gone, the Ashanti spirit was unbroken. Why? Because the golden stool remained hidden. The British knew about it. They heard the whispers. They understood that this stool was the real heart of the people. And so, in 1900, Governor Sir Frederick Hodgson made his infamous demand, "Bring me the golden stool. I will sit upon it, and show who truly rules the Ashanti." To him, it was just political theater. But to the Ashanti, it was blasphemy, a violation not just of tradition, but of their very soul. The silence that followed his demand was heavy. Chiefs stared at the ground. Mothers held their breath. The British thought they had intimidated the Ashanti into obedience. But in truth, that silence was the sound of something ancient awakening. Because in the days that followed, the Ashanti would rise up in what became known as the War of the Golden Stool, one of the fiercest rebellions against colonial rule. When Governor Hodgson made his demand in 1900, he had no idea what he had just unleashed. The Ashanti chiefs didn't confront him directly. They simply left the meeting in silence. Hodgson mistook this for weakness. But in truth, they were already planning something that would shock the entire British Empire. That night, word spread across the villages, the white governor had demanded to sit on the soul of the Ashanti. To the people, this wasn't politics anymore. It was sacrilege. Soon, warriors began to gather in secret. Guns were hidden. Spears sharpened. And at the heart of this rising storm was an unlikely leader, Yasantua, the queen mother of Ejisu. She stood before the chiefs and said, If you men will not fight for the golden stool, then we women will. I shall call upon my fellow women. We shall fight the white man ourselves. We will fight until the last of US falls in the battlefield." Her words lit a fire. The chiefs, ashamed, rallied their warriors. The rebellion that followed was brutal. Ashanti fighters launched ambushes against British troops, cutting off supply lines, raiding outposts, and striking with deadly precision in the dense forest. For months, the British were trapped in Kumasi, their stronghold surrounded. Soldiers wrote letters home about the ghost warriors of the Ashanti who appeared and vanished in the trees. Some swore they saw lights moving in the forest at night, glowing, golden, as if the stool itself was watching them. But the British brought reinforcements. Slowly, the Ashanti resistance was crushed. Villages were burned, chiefs arrested, and by the end of 1901, the Ashanti Kingdom was officially annexed into the Gold Coast colony. On paper, it looked like the British had won. But here's the strange part: the golden stool itself was never touched. During the chaos of the war, Ashanti priests and chiefs had secretly hidden the stool away. Some say it was buried deep in the forest. Others claim it was smuggled into sacred caves, guarded by spirits. Wherever it went, the British never laid eyes on it. This infuriated Governor Hodgson. He left Africa in disgrace, humiliated that he had been defied by what he saw as nothing more than a chair. Years passed. The Ashanti king was still in exile. The British believed they had broken the people. But the stool remained hidden, untouchable. Then, in 1921, decades after the war, something eerie happened. A group of African laborers working for the British stumbled upon the stool's hiding place. They pried it open, stripped off its golden ornaments, and left the sacred seat exposed. When news reached the Ashanti, outrage swept the land. The laborers were arrested immediately. But what unsettled people most was what happened afterward. According to witnesses, every single one of the men who defiled the stool fell sick within weeks. Some wasted away. Others went mad, muttering about voices calling from the stool. None of them lived long. To the British, this was coincidence. But to the Ashanti, it was proof. Proof that the golden stool was alive, and that those who violated it would pay the price. By now, the stool had become more than a symbol. It was a paradox, invisible yet powerful, untouchable yet everywhere. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. Because even the British, who dismissed it as superstition, quietly stopped trying to touch it after that incident. Almost as if they, too, had started to believe. When the dust of colonial conquest settled, the British thought they had won. The Ashanti Kingdom was under their flag. Their chiefs were arrested, their warriors scattered, their king in exile. But there was one thing the British never truly captured: the golden stool. After the 1921 desecration, the stool was restored by the Ashanti, its ornaments reforged, its sanctity purified through sacred rites. The priest declared it still carried the sansom, the collective soul of the Ashanti. And here's the shocking truth: despite wars, exile, and decades of colonial rule, the stool was never, not once, sat upon by a foreigner. The one thing Governor Hodgson demanded in 1900, the thing he believed would symbolize British dominance, never happened. The empire took land. They took lives. They took power. But they never took the soul. Even stranger, every person who ever attempted to defile the stool met tragedy. The laborers who stripped it in 1921, all dead within months. A British officer rumored to have mocked it during transport later died suddenly of fever, his men whispering it was the stool's revenge. And Hodgson himself, who demanded to sit on it, was recalled in disgrace, his career collapsing. He died in obscurity, remembered not as a conqueror, but as the man who lost a war against a stool. Coincidence? Maybe. But to the Ashanti, it wasn't coincidence. It was justice. Here's where it gets eerie. The golden stool is not just a relic. It still exists today. It remains hidden from public view, guarded carefully, brought out only for the most sacred occasions. Even modern Ghanaian presidents have refused to sit on it, no one dares. It remains the heart of Ashanti identity. Children still grow up hearing that their very souls are bound to it. Chiefs still swear oaths before it. And enemies are still warned, touch the golden stool, and you will fall. Think about that. A colonial empire rose and fell. Nations were carved and redrawn. Modern Ghana was born. And yet, a single stool, nearly 400 years old, still commands fear and reverence. So, what is the golden stool? A piece of wood covered in gold. A national treasure. Or something more, an object infused with the living essence of a people. Skeptics say it's just a symbol. But history shows that those who underestimated it didn't end well. And maybe that's the real mystery. Whether or not it truly curses those who touch it, the stool has done what entire armies could not. It has survived. And today, when you hear its story, one thing becomes clear. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing to touch isn't a weapon or a king. It's a chair.